I'm 30 years old and I've been a fitness coach since I was 20 years old. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about the 10 cheat codes I wish I knew when I was 20. Let's dive right into it. So, number one, building muscle creates what I like to call passive fat burning. Okay, you guys have probably heard of the term passive income, right? So the idea of if you invest in certain assets, say stocks or real estate, eventually that's going to create passive income for yourself. This is actually very similar to how we can create passive fat burning by building muscle. Investing in building muscle early on is going to allow us to burn more calories at rest in the future. Okay, so the more muscle you have, this is going to make you more metabolically active. So the more muscle mass means you're going to be burning more calories even at complete rest. All right, I've noticed that now that I've added a significant amount of muscle mass to my frame in the last 15 years of me lifting, that when I lean out, it's much easier because I simply burn more calories at rest than someone with less muscle. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, quality nutrient dense foods makes being in a calorie deficit seem effortless, right? I used to try the whole if it fits your macros approach, and I thought, hey, dieting is going to be a lot easier if I can eat whatever I want and just hit my macros. But what I realize now is that eating nutrient dense whole foods keeps you feeling much more full and satiated and actually makes it a lot easier to stay in that deficit rather than if, you're incorporating a cheeseburger in there. It's like that takes up most of your calories and actually makes it a lot more difficult. So that's number two. That actually instead of doing if it fits your macros and eat whatever you want, it actually makes it a lot easier and effortless to lose weight eating nutrient dense whole foods. Okay. Now, number three is intensity doesn't matter if you don't recover, right? I think that's a really common thing for coaches when they first get started. They think it's all about intensity. They're just trying to push their clients as hard as possible. But there's no point of going balls to the wall in the gym if you're not recovering and building back stronger from session to session, right? So progressive overload is what's gonna actually get you where you want to go over any individual training session being extremely intense, right? I used to push myself literally to the point on leg days where sometimes I would throw up because I would just push myself so hard. I thought the harder I go, the better results I'm going to get. But then my sleep and my recovery was terrible back then, right? So it makes me, it makes me wonder like where would I be if my sleep and recovery was good back then? And I would wonder why sometimes sessions I'd feel strong and others I'd feel so weak. But the research shows that staying 1 to 2 reps away from failure actually yields very similar results as going to complete failure. So, but on the flip side, like you're going to recover a lot better. Like the difference between going to failure and leaving 1 or 2 reps in the tank, you recover so much better leaving 1 or 2 reps in the tank. Okay. So that you need to make sure you're recovering from session to session, and also making sure that you're getting that sleep so that you can optimally be stronger the next time you come in. Okay, so that's number three. So number four is 80% of your time should be spent on building once you've gotten to a healthy leanness. And the key here is once you've gotten lean, right? So if you have a significant amount of body fat to lose, then your number one goal should be getting to a healthy body fat percentage before you even consider bulking, right? But once you've gotten to that healthy level of leanness, then don't do the whole flip-flopping back and forth between bulking and cutting like every few weeks or every couple of months, right? 80% of your time should be spent in a lean bulk to give yourself enough time to add that muscle mass. Because, like we talked about in the very first cheat code, there's a huge benefit to having more muscle. So I see people, they start looking a little bit smaller in their shirts, their t-shirts, and they're like, I want to bulk back up to fill out the sleeves, right? And then they bulk up, and now they're like, I'm fluffy, I want to lean back out, and they just kind of go back and forth constantly in that flipping and flopping back and forth from bulking, cutting. And I want to say like get lean, focus on that, hit that goal, and then spend 80% of the time building. And then just make sure that you're maintaining that level of leanness. So that was number four. Number five is discipline is more about removal than it is about adding new habits. All right, so I like every month I try to figure out what can I remove? I'm not always trying to add in new habits. I'm like, what can I remove and simplify? So last month I turned off all my notifications on my phone. It's made a huge difference, right? So that's one of the things that I implemented last month. And people think like they're not disciplined, but in reality they just have too many distractions, right? So think about what can you remove so that can become a more disciplined person because you just have too many distractions that are throwing you off. All right, so that was number five. Number six is don't major in the minors. All right, and this has to do with supplements, nutrient timing, etc. Like it's very easy, especially with how much information we have on the internet, to go down the rabbit hole of different exercise and nutrition research, right? And just like be researching away. But focus on the main things and don't get distracted by minor details that don't make much of a difference. Okay, here are some of the big things to actually pay attention to. Okay, so with nutrition, adherence, that's number one, right? You got to make sure that it's something that you can stick to. Okay, calories, because that's 100%, guys. Don't get this twisted. Like calories is going to determine your weight loss or weight gain, 100%. Okay, macros. Okay, so adherence, calories, macros, because macros is what's going to help fuel and recover you and make sure that the weight that you're gaining or losing is the right type of weight, right? We want to make sure that we're at least maintaining, if not gaining muscle mass while we lose pure fat. So the macros really come into play here. So these three things are kind of the bang for your buck, and they're much more important than like the nutrient timing, supplements, and other minor details like that. So don't put the cart before the horse when it comes to nutrition. Now, with exercise, some of the big needle movers is going to be consistency, kind of like what I said with nutrition being adherence, just making sure that you can stick to it consistently. Progressive overload, which I talked about before, right? Making sure that you're coming into each session stronger than the last. You're progressively overloading, not just focusing on like I'm going so hard in this one individual session. It's are we getting better from session to session? All right, so progressive overload, overall volume. So how many times are we hitting our different muscle groups throughout the week? That's a huge one. Intensity and recovery, right? Those things going together, not just being so intense that we're not recovering, but also just like, there's got to be some intensity there to drive stimulus so that we're making progress. All right, so these things are much more important than things like I'm gonna target my inner chest, right? Or work on the peak of my bicep because you can't actually even really target those things, guys. So like, don't put the cart before the horse as far as workouts go as well. Okay, so that was number six. Don't major in the minors. Now number seven, don't think so black and white. Like I'm on track or I'm not. Okay, it's all a spectrum. Like anything else in life, people think very black and white sometimes, and everything's a spectrum. Okay, so I've seen clients get so down on themselves if they slip up, or had an extra cheat meal or missed a session in the gym. They say, "Oh, screw it, I messed up. Like, what's the point of even trying?" Right? Similarly, I've seen clients go up a pound one week and say, "It's not working, I give up." Right? Progress takes time, and it's not going to be linear. All right. It's not I'm on track or I'm off track. It's how on track are you, right? It's that spectrum. So don't freak out if you slip up or your progress slows down at any point. You should actually expect that. All right. And I like to use the analogy with a car. So if you're driving down the road and you get a flat tire, you don't say, oh, screw it. I'm going to go ahead and slash the other three. What's the point? Right? You patch it up and you keep moving forward. It's the same thing with your fitness journey, right? If you slip up a little bit or if, something happens, you plateau or, you just have a little bit of a hiccup, like don't slash the other tires and say, "Oh, screw it." Like, what's the point? Patch it up, dial it back in, keep moving forward, keep making progress. Okay. So that was number seven. Number eight is the man who loves walking is going to walk further than the man who loves the destination. All right. You guys have probably heard this, probably pretty cliche, but don't get so fixated on the outcome. All right. Instead of focusing on losing 30 pounds or building 15 pounds of muscle and just being so fixated on that, focus on learning to enjoy incorporating the right habits into your week that are going to make these results inevitable, right? Focus on those habits and implementing that into your daily routine, and those outcomes are going to come, right? But I think a lot of people they're so fixated on the outcome, and the analogy I'll say for myself in my own life is like I'll be really fixated on a certain business goal, right? Like I want to get to this, And then I'm like, but am I doing the things every single day? Am I enjoying the process? Am I learning to enjoy that and find enjoyment in the improvement of the day-to-day small things? Because that's what's going to help me get there. It's not just being so fixated and like having the expectation that I've got to get there. It's what's the process? What are the little things I'm doing every day? Am I learning to enjoy that? Because if I can do that and I can learn to enjoy the process, the walking, then I'm going to get farther than someone that's just in love with the outcome. All right, so that's number 8. Number 9 is cut out or limit alcohol and other vices greatly because they kill your progress. All right, and I've made multiple videos about this, but I truly wonder where I'd be at this point if I hadn't been sabotaging my results for years with excess alcohol consumption. Right? Binge drinking will absolutely kill your progress, and there's so much research on this. But other vices like vaping, other addictions, those types of things also steal your dopamine, and they're gonna make you less motivated to accomplish the things you need to accomplish. So pay attention to not only alcohol, but other vices or even scrolling tech, just what's stealing your dopamine and like taking away your drive to actually accomplish tasks. Okay, so that's number 9, just like paying attention to vices. Okay. And the last one, so number 10 for the cheat codes is make your goals bigger than yourself. All right. If you don't have anyone else involved in your fitness journey, then the truth is like this is going to be a sad and lonely road, right? Think about who else can benefit from you taking control of your health and fitness. And then always keep that in mind. I'd suggest even, having accountability partners, maybe even joining a fitness community and or having a coach, right? Like these things make it so that enjoying the process, like I said, like, enjoying the habits that you're implementing, it makes it inherently more enjoyable, right? So get other people involved, pay attention to like who else can benefit from you taking control of your health, and you're going to be able to go farther than someone that's not. So those are the 10 fitness cheat codes I wish I knew when I was 20 and that I know now with my 10 years of coaching, now that I'm 30. So implement these into your 2025 goals, guys, and you're going to be unrecognizable. I promise you. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like and subscribe. Share this to someone that helps things grow quite a bit. So if you know someone that would benefit from these cheat codes, send it over to them. And I'll see you guys in the next video. But in the meantime, elevate every damn day. Peace.
Elevate. Only obligation is to tell it straight.